All right. So did you have problems finding an apparent authority example?
A little bit. I found one that was a huge lot of what seemed like nothing just to get to apparent authority. And it's a long article. I didn't even read all of it. I only got to a part that got to apparent authority and then, like, well, okay.
All
Um,
right.
but basically, um, I guess to summarize my article, it was based on this case between the SEC versus Jensen, where the Jensen company, um, and I'm still not quite sure, but they basically did these financial restatements that made um, their financials look good when they first did it. And then when they did the restatements, they took out money or something for the partners' incentives, whether they were actual money or equity incentives. And apparently, with the Sabarsny Oxley Act, um, that was basically, if you did something like that, it was considered fraud in a sense.
Right.
And um, it also allowed, um, if that was proven as fraud, that um, those incentives could be taken away from the officers of the company. And in this specific court case, um, I guess the judge decided that uh, that it wasn't misconduct done by the actual officers who were basically being sued, that it was done by someone else. But it still kind of leaves that loophole of, if it's someone with apparent authority, and that's where they kind of get into it later. And by law, if it's um, fraud that's done with someone with apparent authority, it's supposed to go back to the principal, which is exactly what our reading said. So I don't know, it was kind of a jumbled mess because there were some concepts in there that I wasn't sure what they were referring to.
Right.
They're going
Right.
full on financial, but that's basically what I got out of it.
Okay. Well, I kind of had a hard time finding an example. But what I came up with was last month, um, the Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Have you heard of him? Do you know him?
Uh,
Down in Arizona.
oh, yeah, that sounds familiar now.
So he is the sheriff of Maricopa County, and he's trying to enforce the immigration laws.
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in 2007, um, he had a suit brought against him for racial discrimination for these what they call them, immigration patrols. And so the judge ordered him to stop these patrols. Well, in October, they decided that they were going to bring charges against him because the patrols haven't stopped. So he was going to be in contempt. But so what he is claiming, he did admit that they haven't stopped, but he's saying that his deputies, he didn't instruct his deputies to go against the court. So I was thinking that the apparent authority would be when his deputies are still performing these, even though they're not supposed to be able to, but because they're in uniform, they would lead the general public to believe that they do have the authority to do it.
I like that.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, that sounds pretty accurate. I mean, that, yeah, because the uniform, that would be something that you would imagine that they have that apparent authority.
Right.
And
Well,
even,
he is claiming that although they have not stopped, he didn't tell his employees not, to continue them or to not stop it. And so he's claiming that maybe they just did it on their own.
so the judge told him to stop, and he agreed.
Uh-huh.
And he personally didn't do anything, but he also didn't tell those under him. Okay.
Well, he claims that he did tell everybody, to his deputies, to go against the court order. He admits that they have not stopped, but he's saying, I never told anybody to, continue these things.
That could kind of almost go either way, because you would imagine that his deputies at least knew of it, but if he didn't do his duty and tell them about, we're ordered not to do this.
Right. So, I mean, in the article, it didn't say if he had told his employees not to do it, but he said, I didn't tell them to go against the court order, which is kind of a legal, a play on words.
Right. He basically didn't tell them to ignore it, but at the same time, how can they ignore it if he doesn't tell them about the court order?
So I don't know, but I thought that because they were still continuing, and I'm thinking anybody in a uniform would give that third party, the general public.
No, I agree. I mean, we could even maybe use the story as kind of basis for an example, but just change the example slightly. Maybe change the example of, had the sheriff told them and then they went against the court order, then that would still show the kind of apparent authority because of
Right.
being in uniform and everything.
Yep. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing in the directions, as far as I know, that we can't tweak the story a little bit.
I think like you said in the article that you read, by time you explain all of the details, it's going to be a 2-page, it'll be a final exam.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, gosh, just out of curiosity, now I kind of want to see, if I put this in a Word document, just how long is this article? Because, of course, with all the fancy stuff, it's going to look. Let's see. It would be about 7 pages is the article. So now you see why I only went through as far as I needed. I'm like, Sure.
Yep, you got out of it what you needed to. All
Yep.
right, I did send you a link for a template.
Okay.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll post my, what I have full, but we're going to have to,
Where
tweak.
did you send the link?
It should be in the group chat there.
And there's nothing there.
Oh, well, let me try again.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. And I believe it is not private anymore. It's
Well,
shareable.
it isn't private, but it's sent as view only. So now it's sending you a request to allow me to edit.
Yeah, this is the last week. I'll have it down by this. I know I will.
Yeah, as far
Just in
as
time to start all over next semester with something else and learn new technology.
that's usually how it goes, sadly.
Okay. Did that work?
Not yet. Yeah, it still has me as view only. Oh, now something looks like it's going. Okay, well, a weird workaround, but it's working now.
Okay.
Yeah, I like how it's written. Just gotta write a little for the explanation, or maybe even just move the because of his deputies down into explanation.
Yeah. Well, do we want to come up with a question first?
Well, we can, yeah. Hmm. We could. Maybe say something along the lines of assuming the sheriff had shared the court order with his deputies. Um, Under what type of authority part the deputies
Acting. So then would you do like 2 for, well, we would do the, oh my goodness, my mind just went blank. So we could have our options as the assumed, or I mean, apparent authority.
Yeah, I could do apparent, implied, expressed. Feel like there's
Oh, and then there's the one that we actually, or what was the other one that we learned about with apparent? Actual.
that could be it.
Was it actual?
Oh well,
Yeah,
actual.
actual or apparent.
Yeah, actual is just the top of express or implied, but
That's
you
true.
still could use it.
Well, yeah. I guess if you use the express or implied, that would be, take up 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, the wrong answers don't have to be right.
Okay, so well, let's change our. What should we give our sheriff's name here?
Um,
Oh, we'll call him John Wayne. How's that?
there we go.
Okay. I guess we probably don't have to use quotes here, and I don't even know if this part is very relevant. In fact, I don't even know if we have to talk about the criminal contempt. Can we just say Sheriff John Wayne was charged with racial profiling?
Mm, I don't know. I think the whole thing makes sense because it explains why they think he was racial profiling.
Okay. So if he admits that the. How about if we clarify? So do you want to change it that he claims that he claims that he informed all of his employees, something like that?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because then it would be, well, does that make sense?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Then
Um,
maybe move that down into the explanation.
And do we have to clarify that they're not, that they didn't have the actual authority in the explanation?
It wouldn't hurt. That works.
Okay. I liked your question. We go for that.
What I was thinking of.
Yeah, the what kind of authority were the deputies granted?
So I think that's okay the way it is. Do you think we need to add anything, or does that look pretty
I
basic?
think I think that looks good.
Okay.
I've got one wrong answer.
Okay. A parent can even use how the book says if they're dressed a certain way.
Yeah, for like the feedback or in the example.
For the feedback.
All right. Do you want to look at my wrong answers and see what you think? I like your correct answer.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I like those feedbacks. I think that's probably one of the quickest times we've gotten one of these done.
All right. Well, good deal. All right. So if that is it, I'll go ahead and I'll stop the broadcast so that we can get the link, and then we'll kind of review the exam
Mhm.
after we stop. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.